Hey there, so today I just wanted to talk to you a little bit more about mobility around the ankle region, and that's going to include both the joint, the actual ankle mobility, the freedom of movement, range of movement at the joint, and it's also going to include your calf muscles. If your calf muscles are tight, then that's going to restrict that range of motion at the joint. So we'll be looking at both of those things. First of all, we need to check, do we have the right range of motion? Do we have enough flexibility? Let's not worry too much about the difference in this case. At the ankle joint, and we're looking at two different positions. So first of all, we're going to be checking in on our gastroc. So that's our big calf muscle that we can feel the two big heads up here. How tight is that calf muscle? Are we able to have the foot, so in this case I'm looking at the rear foot, have that rear foot with the heel down on the floor and my weight coming forwards? Now, things to check on here are ways of cheating is to turn that foot out, so I can get much further this way if I'm turning my toes out towards you. So to check that I'm actually getting the stretch and to check that I'm actually testing the right range of motion, I want this foot facing forwards, so not turning out, but facing forwards. And I'm going to imagine I've got a grape underneath the arch of my foot, so I don't want to be collapsing that in, I don't want to be squashing that grape. So with my foot set up, can I get my knee forwards of the foot? Now this isn't a precise measurement. If we were doing it precisely, we'd be getting out and actually measuring the ankle angle, the angle at the ankle, but I'm guessing most of you don't have the facility to do that. So bare minimum, I want to see, can that knee, is that knee pointing in the same direction as the foot, coming, is it ahead of where the toe is? And hopefully you can see there, I've got about that far between my toes to where my knee, if that's pointing straight down from there. You don't need the stick, I'm just doing that so you know what I'm talking about. So that's checking, am I too tight at the calf here, this upper part of the calf, gastroc. Then I also want to check my mobility when I'm looking at that knee coming right forwards, and now I'm feeling if the soleus, the lower part of the calf muscle that's kind of running here, is that too tight? To do that, I'm going to come up to a wall and I'm going to put my foot on the floor, just come a bit further away, foot's on the floor. I'm going to see how far away from the wall I can get my foot and still get my knee to touch to the wall. So I keep moving the foot backwards and keep checking that I can get the knee to the wall. Now again, our cheating way of doing this is our knee's going to collapse over the arch. I want to make sure, can I get that knee to the wall, right facing forwards over my toes, or potentially even trying to get slightly in the direction of my little toes. Can I get that foot far enough away from the wall still, and making sure each time that the heel is touching down, can I get the palm of my hand in there? So I just passed the test on that side. This is my tighter side. I can get in a lot easier on that side. Easily whole palm of the hand in there. Now, again, it's not precise, but the good thing about it is the palm of your hand is scaled to you. So if I'm somebody who's much larger, I need to have more mobility because I've probably got a longer leg, so the leg needs to get further forwards. If I'm smaller, I'll have a smaller hand. So it's scaled to you. Again, not precise, but it's a good rule of thumb. So if you failed either of those tests, you need to be working on building up, getting that increased range of motion. Now, first question is, when you felt that tightness that stopped you from being able to get further, was it the muscle? So in that case, you're pushing the knee towards the wall. Was I feeling it here? Did it feel like the muscle was tight? Or did it feel more like it was in the ankle joint? If it's the case that it's in the ankle joint, I would, a bicycle in a tube is brilliant for this. You need to anchor something fairly firm. This is a TheraBand, it's not probably quite firm enough, but anchor something, like I say, in a tube is perfect, around something really stable. So this is around a turbo train, it's probably not quite strong enough either, but I just want to show you here. With that, I've got the band just at the front of my ankle, where that tightness would be. And from there, I'm going to do the same drill, pushing my knee forwards. I can now feel I can get a lot deeper into there. It's supporting at the front of the ankle, and I can get that knee a lot further forward. So I'm working on this leg in this case. So if the restriction is at the ankle, in the joint, try that. If the restriction is more that the muscle is tight, you need to be doing the stretching. Either way, if we're looking to be doing stretching, you need to be holding those stretches for long enough. So we're talking 30 seconds up to a minute, holding that stretch as it starts to release, going a little bit deeper into it. If it's more about the mobility, then I would tend to do, and I do these as a nice drill during squats or something, you always need that good range of motion at the ankle when you're doing squats, I would be doing, pushing it forwards, holding it for a few seconds, and I'm working 3 planes. So I'll go that kind of comfortable way into the arch, then I go straight forwards, then pushing out over the little toes. And I'll do about 5 sets of that, holding it for a few seconds each. So remember, with that mobility, we're imagining we're oiling the gate, just gently loosening up. We're not trying to force it, we're not trying to jam it, we're just gently loosening up. So those are 2 things. If you didn't have that right range, those are ways to work on that. Now, even if you passed the test and you have the right range of motion, we still need to make sure that we're loosening up the ankles, particularly if you know you've got issues in that area. You want to loosen up the ankles before you go for a run, before you do your strength and conditioning, anywhere where that lack of range of motion at the ankle is going to impede you. So you could do the things that we just talked about then, pushing that knee forwards in those different positions. Or you might want to add it into your more dynamic warm-up that you're doing anyway. So anything where you can feel that ankle moving. So you might feel as you go into a lunge, you can feel it. Now generally, I say the lunge, you want the knee, not enough space there, you want the knee to be above the ankle. That's not really working my mobility. It is at the back there a little bit. But you might want to deliberately go into a lunge where you're pushing the knee forwards a little bit more. So long as that's not giving you any knee pain. If it's giving you knee pain, then certainly don't do that. Similarly, on your side lunges, again, normally I would say hips back, but you might want to go knees a little bit further forwards so that you can work through. I can feel that working through that tight ankle there as I push the knee forwards. So you can look at combining it into another warm-up you're doing, so long as you know why you're doing it and you're doing it deliberately. Another one that's really good, which I'm not demonstrating well there at all, is down into, I call it a paleo squat, call it what you want. So down into that squat is kind of what you see people doing at the side of the roads in India. Now, don't worry too much where your feet are, go with what feels comfortable to you. Ditto, they'll probably be turning out a bit. You can work over time on getting the feet closer in and facing forwards, but don't worry too much about that. What I want you to do though, and if you have those tight ankles, you'll probably find that you're rolling in and you're kind of putting your weight onto the arch there. So I want you to think about, again, imagine you've got that grape underneath the arch of the foot, and you're opening up, you're activating the arch, and you're putting the weight more into the outer part of the foot rather than collapsing onto the inside. So I'm activating my arch, I'm activating those foot muscles, and I'm working on that mobility at the ankle there. If you find that one hard, do it up against the wall, work on that, and then you can gently try and get further away from the wall, but you know the wall's there to catch you. But still pushing back, making sure you're activating through there. That's a really nice one just to sit there for a minute or so before you go into a workout, just loosening up different parts of the body. One other idea that you could work on, if you're doing that calf stretch, so you've got that at the back, that's really nice, but it's quite passive. If you want to load it up a little bit more, we can get a bench. Get something, so this is just a kettlebell, it could be a step or something with a bit of wood on, but something that's going to be at that angle like that. From there, I'm putting my toes up, and I'm actually turning my toes in. So in the direction of the big toe, I can even move the kettlebell a little bit there to help that. And then from there, I'm stepping forwards. So I can feel quite a deep stretch into my calf there. I'm also working on getting my hips forward. So I'm getting that extension in the back leg. Now, if we think about it when we're running, as we run, we want that foot, we wouldn't have the foot up here, but anyway, we want that extension at the hip, and we need enough mobility at the calf to be able to get forwards over it. So we're just kind of replicating that, just take it back a little bit. So I'm getting that stretch through my calf. I can feel the stretch there whilst I'm in the extension, and I'm loading it up here. Now we can just slightly work on that by making sure that rather than what I could do to cheat again, is my whole body just faces in the directions of the toe. The toes are crossed in, so I want to make sure that I slightly cross out, or at least have my hips facing forwards. Then I want to check that I'm in that neutral pelvis position. So rather than just being there, I want to push forward, partly working on the neutral pelvis, the glute engagement, but partly I'm getting much deeper stretch into the calf there. So don't force it with everything, gently build it up, but if you want to get in a little bit deeper, work in that loaded position, then that's a good one. And just to kind of recap, as I was just saying there, the reason this is important, you'll often see people walking along with kind of duck feet. That could be for lots of different causes, but in this case, if I haven't got that mobility at the arch, then I'm having to go over like that rather than like that. So we want to make sure we've got that mobility. I just said arch, I meant the calf. We want to make sure we've got the mobility or at the ankle joint so that we can get the knee comfortably forwards rather than having to cheat and turn the foot out, which is then going to change our loading through our glutes. It's obviously not the way our bodies were designed to be used. So I hope that's useful. Try those out and give me a shout. Let me know how you get on.